Hi everyone, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Anna, and you're listening to We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, a podcast hosted by us, a married couple with an endless love for TV.
Whether you're looking for a new show to binge or wanting to revisit an old classic, let us be your guide through the infinite list of TV shows.
So come join us every Friday as we discuss the pilot for a TV show while also sharing personal stories that parallel the storylines.
We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, where your new favorite show is just one click away. Hello everyone, welcome back to our pod. Hello everyone, welcome back to our pod.
Hello. It's very chilly and rainy, so if you hear rain, we apologize.
And right when I hit record, the oven let me know that it was preheated. So right when I started talking, it beeped. I could very easily cut that out.
Yes.
All right, so welcome to February. We are excited for this month, and just like we're excited for every month, not like it's any different, but we got a bunch of good shows this month, and we're starting off with a show that I think was the first one we chose for the month.
Yeah, because we started watching it.
Yeah.
We had watched it, and we were thinking of themes for February, and I thought of this theme, and you loved it, and we already had some new shows we watched, a show we watched a while ago, and then a new show. So, yeah, it was just all a great month ahead.
Yes. And today we are judging the pilot for Chad Powers.
So this month's theme is Sports Month.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
for some reason when you were talking, I thought you were about to say it, and then I thought you said it, and my bad, I did not specify. Yeah, we are beginning Sports Month with Chad Powers.
Yeah.
And a show that, we were pretty well aware of it well before it came out, just because it's Glenn Powell and because you love the original video.
Yeah.
And we got a lot to talk about, and we got a lot to say, so Anna's going to start this off with some episode and series information.
All right, Chad Powers, first quarter. Chad Powers is an American sports comedy series that premiered on Hulu on September 30th, 2025. The series currently has one season and 6 episodes. The series was created by Glenn Powell and Michael Waldron. Waldron has been a writer and producer for shows such as Rick and Morty, Loki, or is it Loki?
Loki.
Like
Marvel.
I know. I was just making sure. Okay. I knew it was Loki because I love Tom Hiddleston. Heels and the underrated YouTube original Good Game.
I love that show. I couldn't believe that he was a producer for it, and it's such a good show. It's on YouTube.
He also wrote Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and the upcoming Avengers Doomsday. Glenn Powell is a well-known actor and needs little introduction if you've been to the movies in the last few years. He got his start on the horror classic Scream Queens, which I also starred in.
Yes. You're the star.
I was. Forget Emma Roberts, Lea Michele, Jamie Lee Curtis. It was me. I did do a one day.
Yes.
I was an extra. All right. And co-starred in the indie coming of film age, Everybody Wants Some, directed by Richard Linklater. Powell has recently starred in The Running Man, Twisters, Anyone But You, and Top Gun Maverick. Chad Powers centers around Russ Holliday, a former star college quarterback who ruins his career while showing off during a bowl championship game. Years later, Holliday is unemployed and living with his father and decides to relive his glory days by creating a disguise and trying out as a walk-on for the fictional South Georgia University. The series was inspired by the viral alter ego Eli Manning created for his series Eli's Places, where he puts on prosthetics and a wig to become Chad Powers, a substitute teacher who tries out for the real Penn State football team. He managed to fool everyone, including several of the coaches, and improvised a slogan that also went viral. Think fast, run fast.
That was so funny.
Manning would become an executive producer for the series and even makes a cameo as the coach for Ole Miss. Hotty toddy. Chad Powers stars as Glenn Powell, Russ Holliday. Chad Powers, an arrogant quarterback who begins to soften up after seeing the positive response to Chad's optimistic persona. Perry Matfield as Ricky Hudson, the intelligent offensive assistant coach, the head coach's daughter, and the first person to truly believe in Chad. Wynn Everett as Trisha Yeager, the confident and influential chair of the Booster Trust. Frankie Rodriguez as Danny, the team's mascot and the only one who knows Chad's true identity, and Steve Zahn as Coach Jake Hudson, the well-meaning but often oblivious head coach. Despite being Hulu's #1 most watched series during its run, it was met with mixed reviews. Some felt that the series was humorous at times but lacked substance, while others praised Powell's performance and were impressed with the show's ability to balance the absurd humor with a charming, heartwarming premise. The series has been picked up for a second season, which has already gone into pre-production. Sorry for the yawning. It's dark and cold. With an expected release date of late 2026, early 2027. You can currently watch the series on Hulu and Disney Plus.
So did you watch Eli's Places, or did you just see the clip one day?
I knew of Eli's Places.
Yeah.
I mean, I just watched sports stuff, and then I had heard he had done this video. And of course, I'm thinking, that's got to be hilarious because Eli and his brother Peyton have very distinctive voices and very distinctive looks. So I was like, how are they going to disguise him? I mean, and they did. I mean, if you look really close, it's Eli Manning, but a bunch of goofball college freshman, sophomore weren't probably looking that intently at this guy, and it was a walk-on tryout thing. And the other thing is that I thought was really funny about the viral video, and again, it's part of his persona, was that he was a substitute teacher, so he was older. I was just like, Eli Manning is like in his 40s, I think, I was just like, what are they doing? But of course I'm reading too into it, but it was really great. And just the earnestness of all the other players, and then the coaches were like, dang, I really like that Chad Powers, I think they were really duped. So it was just really funny. And Eli has a great sense of humor. If you've ever seen his SNL, sorry, I'm killing you. I know it, yawning.
It's okay.
If you've ever seen his SNL, the trial is one of my favorites. You up? What's up? Kuhl. All of those were really, really funny. I think he has really, for an athlete, really good comedic timing. And I thought he, does really well with that.
Yeah, it's always kind of a treat when you find out that someone who isn't an actor or comedian is really funny. It was like when Garth Brooks hosted SNL, and it turns out he's hilarious, and it's just like, oh, well, I mean, he's a performer, but I mean, you can argue that so are athletes, but it was just really funny. It's kind of like when everyone found out that John Hamm was funny. It was just kind of like, you can be funny. You don't have to be a comedian, or you don't have to be known for being funny. And I remember the first time you showed me that video. So of course, I know who Eli Manning is, and I know sports stuff.
From Louisiana, the whole Manning family, Archie, Peyton.
And even though everyone makes the joke that I know nothing about sports, I just don't freak out over sports. I know plenty about sports. But yeah, when you showed me the video, I was just like, okay, this will be. I thought it was all staged at first. I didn't know that it was like, oh, no one actually knows that he's in disguise, and no one actually knows that that's Eli Manning. So at first I'm just like, oh, this is funny. Then I'm like, oh, this isn't like a skit. This is like a real thing. And so I'm just like, oh, okay. So then I was like, that made me look at it, through that lens, and I'm like, oh, that's really funny. And it was just like, we've gone back and rewatched it a few times, and yeah, it's never not funny. The prosthetics were hilarious. The wig was hilarious. Yeah.
I just love it when he starts throwing and everyone's like, whoa.
I mean,
he's Eli Manning.
Yeah.
So, 2-time Super Bowl MVP. So yes, he can throw, but it was funny to see it from all the other people that were there going
in the mind, thinking that, oh, this is just some substitute teacher who's probably taking like 3 classes in order to qualify for this, like that kind of like, mentality. Because I'm sure plenty of people do that. I mean, like I have no idea how all that stuff works, but I know you have to, have to be a certain type of student. Like you have to have so many credit hours in order to qualify to be like to probably play. I honestly, I don't know how it works, but all right. So kind of lost my train of thought there for a second, but it's okay. I'm also tired. It is dark and stormy.
All right.
All right. So the one of the big things about Chad Powers, the TV show, is there's a big thing with like second chances, and I mean a little bit with like living in the past and not letting go, not letting go of the mistakes that you made, or like kind of not letting go of the past. But second chances is a big part of Chad Powers. And you and I have done a lot of things in life, and we've been through many things. We've done many things. We've been to many places. Is there something or some things that you would want a second chance on if you were given the opportunity
to do a do-over on it?
I guess to do a do-over, because this is that's what the show's about. It's like getting a do-over, and he somehow gets one. And if you were able to do a do-over, but it wouldn't affect your future in the long run, I guess. Like,
okay.
What would you consider taking a second chance? So it could be more than one thing.
Well, first off, so speaking of sports, I will always go back to, I wish I would have kept with my journalism career and not had been such a knee-jerk reaction in taking to verbatim my advisor in college that women weren't sportscasters. I mean, look how many amazing female sportscasters there are. And but back in the mid 80s, I mean, there weren't that many. And so for him to say that, obviously very misogynistic, but it was sort of the truth at the time. I mean, in the sense of like, there just weren't a lot. There weren't women accepted into the locker room or on the sidelines. And I wish I would have at least had the chance to see what that would have been like. So I will say I would have wanted a second chance on following my sports journalism dream in that aspect. I think another second chance that I will say will be when I was in law school. Again, and maybe this is just me, but I listened to people who were my advisors and mentors maybe a little too much for my own good.
Yeah.
But it was in the place of where I thought, well, they know more than I do, so why wouldn't I listen to them? And those are just things that I got from my mom that I sort of do regret of taking so to heart. Was one of my favorite professors. I was talking to him about going to study abroad in Austria and Hungary in between first and second year of law school. And he was like, oh my gosh, that's like such a waste. The credits that you earn don't really go to anything. It's just a waste of time.
Right.
Why don't you stay here at Loyola in the summer? You can work and get paid as my summer associate. You can take, my Crim Pro class and another class that you might need, and you'll be ahead. And so when he said those things, and in the way that he said them, it made me stop and go, oh, I can get paid. So, I mean, just so you're aware, I was paying for law school myself. I was living at home. I was working at the department store. So this would have been extra money. I mean, my mom wasn't paying for me for anything. And then taking classes that would actually go to my degree, which the summer school classes abroad would have gone to my degree. They would have just been like electives, but I actually took in the summers required courses. But I do regret not doing that study abroad, because it probably took me at least another decade to finally ever make it to Europe. And not that that was like such a horrible thing, but I mean, there's very few times in your life where you can just go flit around Europe for 6 or 7 weeks and not have any responsibilities, or, not have to go back to school or to work. And that was probably one of my chances. Later the next summer, my friend Anne, she had made the same decision as well. I think she went to go back to her hometown and work.
Mm-hmm.
And the next summer, between 2L and 3L years, she decided to do the study abroad, which was weird because not a lot of like second year students did it. It was more of like after your first year thing you did, because by second year you were usually working somewhere else. But she had regretted not going and decided she wanted to go. And I really wish I would have even done that. But again, I still decided to take summer school at Loyola. And by then I was working at a law firm making really decent money. So I was like, I can't quit this job. I needed this money. So that, in the sense of like a do-over or a second chance, I wish I would have really thought out those decisions instead of just being so easily persuaded by someone saying like, I think that's a bad idea.
Right.
Like, you need to do this instead. That's a much better idea. And I wish I would have gone with I want to go flit around Europe, because I talked to like my friend Sue, and she talks about when she went to study abroad for a semester. She went for a whole semester when she was in undergrad. And she's like, oh yeah, like, we were finished classes like Thursday and we didn't have class again until Monday. And she was like, every Thursday afternoon we took a train to a new city. And she would tell me, yep, this weekend we went to Florence, and then we went to Budapest, and then we went to Lyon, and then one weekend we went to Brussels. And I'm just sitting here like, I hate you. I hate, like,
Yeah.
So it's those kind of little things. I'm sure there are probably a ton, but what about you?
I think it's going to be very similar to yours in that it was a lot of little things that I kind of look back on where I'm just like, I wish I just didn't have the burden of being like an insecure preteen or an insecure teenager, that I was too like chicken to do something, or like I didn't, like, there are just moments. So I'll say one of the first moments of my life where I was like, I really wish I could go back and change it. So I have a little bit of, and I don't know why, but I have a little bit of stage fright when it comes to singing in front of other people.
Okay.
And it's not like I have like this amazing voice and people aren't going to be able to handle it when I sing, because it's nothing like that. I just, for some reason, if you're like, Jeff, sing right now, I'm like, I can't do it. Like, I just can't. I can kind of like jokingly do it. I have like my joke singing voice that like, where I like am impersonating. I'm really good at impersonating singers, but like
you can catch a voice pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You can imitate someone very easily.
One of my favorite things to do is to do my James Blunt singing voice. Like, it's like one of my favorites. Goodbye, My Lover.
Bo and Yang.
And yes, and so there was this moment. So I took choir in 7th grade, and there was this we were trying out for like the all district choir, I think, or all state choir, one of those things. And I had you couldn't just like sign up for it. Someone else in the choir had to like nominate you or something like that. It was something very like diplomatic. And one of my friends nominated me because I did theater. And so they were just like, oh, Jeff can probably sing. And so I remember I went up there, I had to sing maybe like 3 lines of a song or something like that. And I stood up there and I just froze. And I was just like, I don't want to, I said out loud, I don't want to do this. And then I just like walked off and went back to my seat. And it was just this weird, because I did theater.
Yeah.
Like, it was so weird. Like, it was the talking in front of people I've never been insecure about. Singing with the group, obviously I was in choir, so I never had like a solo before. And so, or even when I did theater, I never had like a singing solo. So it was always like, I was always like with other people singing. And it was that moment where I realized, I'm like, I've never actually just like sang like by myself to other people. And I was like, I got really scared, because when you're auditioning for something, it's different. Like, you're just kind of like when I would audition for like a school musical or something like that, it was just Like you just had to go in, you just had to turn your brain off and do it.
It was like
and then
autopilot.
leave. Right. And so, but doing it in front of like your peer, and you're also doing it in front of like a teacher. So you know that they're going to be like, that was good. Even if you weren't good, like, you know, they'll try and be positive. But if you're doing it in front of your peers, they're going to eat you alive, especially 7th and 8th grade. So, I mean, like, I just got really scared. And I look back on it now, I'm like, I'm the only one that remembers that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the only one that remembers that moment. And if I would have just stood up and sang, maybe I wouldn't have such stage fright with singing in front of other people. Like, I think there was a moment in my life where I was okay with singing in front of people. It didn't last very long. I think if I was singing along with, like, the radio or, like, that was fine, or like if like a song was playing and I'd sing along with it, that's fine. But if I just singing in front of, I just could never, still to this day, I don't think you've ever heard me actually sing before.
No, I have not.
And one day I'll do it. One day I'll sing for you. Like I said, you're not going to be like, oh my God, your voice, you should have a record deal. It's not going to be anything like that. I don't know why. I've always been that way. So I often wonder, had I just done that and sang, whether I gotten negative feedback or positive feedback, would I be so scared to sing in front of people as a 41-year-old? You know, like I've always kind of wondered that. 30 years later, you know, pretty much, like almost 30 years later. So yeah, I mean that's one that like I literally thought of. I like wrote down some ideas, but I just you brought up like the little moments, and I was like, I have to talk about that because like that's like my big. If maybe, you know, it's so weird. I'm like, our brains are so weird.
I mean, I could probably list a dozen of things that I wish I had second chances or a do-over on again. I mean, but I mean, I will always go back to the movie of Eternal Sunshine of, you know, Spotless Mind. That is totally erasing things that happened in your life. But I always feel like the things that you did were meant to be for a reason, and so, you know,
well, it makes us who we are. And I mean, and it you can either choose to let it affect you, or you can choose to let it affect you in a negative way or in a positive way. And I think obviously I'm okay. It didn't like traumatize me or anything. All right. I continued doing theater, I continued doing all that. I just never had like a singing role where I like sing solos, or maybe I would sing like one line and then like that would be it. I think I did that like once in Little Abner, and my back was to half of the audience, so I didn't care. Like, but yeah, theater is another one that I wish I would have stuck with. That's not like a do-over. Like I was too scared to do it. Like I just went to a high school that we didn't have an auditorium. You and I have discussed this. Yeah. Neither one of our schools had auditoriums. We didn't have an auditorium. I went to a public school that was all about sports, you know, our theme for this month, but we did not have the arts, just were not a thing at my school. And our drama department was resorted to like a classroom pretty much. And if we wanted to do a play, we would have to go to like another school and use their auditorium, or we'd have to use like a local church's auditorium stage. And you know, we made it work, but like I think because of that, I kind of just lost interest in it, because it wasn't like doing anything for me. It wasn't like anything exciting. It wasn't like, you know, auditions are today, like how they do on TV, high school shows, where it's like every high school show, they have like this huge elaborate drama department with like unlimited resources and funding.
Right. Yeah. Mine was not like that either.
And, and you went to a magnet school. And
it was in a crappy building.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it was like deteriorated.
But, you know, there was still like community theater, and there was still all of that. And I think I just kind of lost interest, and then when I kind of got re-interested in it, I was kind of like, well, what do I do? Like I have bills to pay, like I have stuff to do. Like, how did these adults do community theater when I was growing up as a kid? Like, you know, obviously they have it figured out. They probably like work days, and then rehearsals are always at night, and then they probably work Monday through Friday, and shows are always on the weekends. So that's probably what they do. But like, I just didn't have that option, so I kind of just and then so I just kind of stopped doing it. And then of course Bannerslow Theater closed down, so that's a lot of our local theater. A lot of our local theater is now kind of dead. So I always kind of wish I would have stuck with it, but at the same time, you know, I don't think it's anything that I would have been like, I want to do this for a living. It was nothing like that. Like,
Yeah.
it was always just something I like to do for fun. I think at one point I wanted to be an actor professionally, but that was like a teenager dream kind of thing. And then I kind of grew up and I was like, do I really want to be an actor? Probably not. It's just like, not really. And then I really wish I would have stuck with skating. Like, I really wish I was specifically rollerblading. And maybe, once again, we live in Louisiana. There really weren't a lot of resources to play hockey, but like, I loved playing hockey. I loved playing street hockey, roller hockey. I had so much fun doing it. And I'm going to kind of say I was pretty good. Like, I was pretty good. I was definitely a really good skater. And I kind of wish I would have stuck with that, because I see, people my age and older who are still rollerblading, who are still skateboarding, who are still playing hockey, and I'm just like, I could be doing that. I'm just like, why don't I just, I can't even imagine being on rollerblades now. I can't even imagine getting on a set of rollerblades. I mean, I could do it, but I mean, like, I just can't even imagine doing it now. But I wish I would have stuck with it.
I loved roller skating. I never got the hang of rollerblading.
Yeah.
But I was a pretty good roller skater. I mean, I went like every Saturday to skate country in Terrytown.
Ew.
Yeah, to go hang out with my friends.
We had Skate City. I guess your skate country was more of a
whole continent.
Whole thing, yeah. And then, as always, I wish I would have stuck with writing a little bit more. That was like my true passion for a really, really, really long time, and I kind of just, stopped. It wasn't like anything in specific, so I can't really say that like I want to do over, because I feel like I did it, but I wish I would have just stuck with it. Yeah. I think that's it. Because every now and then I'll get like an idea for something, and I'm just like, I don't have time to sit down and write something. I'm just like, I don't have time for that.
I mean,
it's
a lot. I mean, you hear about writer's block and them, being challenged to write the next novel and the struggle that it is. So, I mean, it's definitely something that takes like a lot of investment of time and passion. So it's not easy.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, just like you said a second ago, I could probably think of 10, 15 more things, because we all do things that, even when people say like, I have no regrets, I'm like, you're a fucking liar. Like, we all have regrets. It doesn't mean that like we want to go and take it back. It's just like, we all do things that we regret. We all quit things that we maybe regret later on. I never really, my parents never let me quit a sport. My parents never let me quit anything that I like signed up for. They're like, nope, you committed to it, and you gotta write it out. I'm just be like, ugh, but I think that's why I didn't go back and play basketball. I didn't go back and play football, but they made me stick. They made me stick to the season.
Yeah, I think I've talked about the time I was not very good at basketball. One, because I was just pretty short.
Same,
but
yeah.
I also never got the hang of dribbling and running across the court. And then, so my mom was like, okay, fine, you don't have to play basketball, because she would keep me in sports. And then the other one was softball, when the coach hit me with the ball on purpose. So she was like, all right.
That's different. Yeah.
I know. But I mean, she would have,
yeah.
There was no reason she would have made me stop. I mean, so, but anyhow, yeah.
I was just saying how much the rain was getting picked up.
Oh, okay.
On the thing. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's just normal room tone. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, at the beginning of this episode, we have a pretty big, moment in sports. If this had really happened, it would probably be one of the most viral type.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if it had it happened in real life, which I'm sure a variant of it has happened before.
Oh, that has happened in
That's
games.
What I'm saying. Yeah. Like. So
not, I don't think at the precipice that he was at of winning the game, but players
like
have done that.
A monumental fumble, literal.
Yeah. Self-imposed fumble where he just, in celebration dropped the ball. So yeah,
I can't. So what are some? So I think we can kind of say that would, if it were real, it would be a sports moment that I think a lot of people would never forget. It would be probably. It would probably have like 50 million hits on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So what are some sports moments that you'll never forget that you always remember?
All right, I'm going to start with one of my very...
This is going to be mostly you. I'm just going to go ahead and
that's
tell you.
fine. So one of my very first ones was in college. So I was a university hostess. And so what that meant was on game days, I would work up in like the suites where the alumni sat in our stadium. And I would serve drinks and bring them snacks and whatnot. So I always had like a really good view of my college's football field. So my freshman year, whatever division we were in that year, we were doing really well. And so we had a playoff game at our school before we went to the national championship in that year. And so this was the game that was going to decide if we went to the championship, which was going to be held in Pocatello, Idaho.
Oh, okay.
And it was called the Diamond Bowl at the time, but it was in Idaho.
Idaho.
So I am Daho. So what was something that was famous at the time, I think LSU had done it one year when they were going to go to the Orange Bowl. Fans in the stands brought oranges and had thrown them on the field like a torrential rain of orange. Like you could not find an orange, a cutie, a grapefruit, like no citrus fruit in town could be found in Baton Rouge. So the year that we were getting ready to go to this potential championship game, people brought frickin' potatoes to the game. And people in the stands were throwing potatoes. Now, mind you, an orange is probably, it's going to hurt if it hits you, but it's at least soft.
Yeah.
A potato could like literally knock an eye out or something. But people were throwing them. I mean, it was like rain on the field of potatoes every time we scored. And I just remember, and like it had been rumored around campus at the time, like people were like the student, people were buying potatoes to bring. And so I remember a lot of the alums like up in the skybox because you couldn't hear what was happening because we were enclosed. They were like, what are they throwing? And everyone's like, potatoes. So they were like, oh my God. So that was one of my first favorite like big college games. We did win that game. We did go on to the Diamond Bowl, which I don't even think exists anymore. And we won that year. One of the next kind of trio of games was the first game after Hurricane Katrina in the Superdome. My mom and I were there. I became a season ticket holder back in 2006, and so my mom and I were at that game when Steve Gleason blocked the punt, and I don't think I've heard it any louder in the Superdome than that night until the NFC Championship. So that was an emotional game. Then the NFC Championship, the game that we won to go to the Super Bowl, I was with my brother. He had never been to an NFC Championship game. He had been to a Super Bowl already. But he wanted to go, so I picked him up at the airport. We parked. We went to the French Quarter to hang out like all day. I mean, if we were the second game that Sunday.
Gotcha.
And so I think I had picked him up that morning. Like he literally flew in Sunday morning, and we went and we ate at a restaurant in the French Quarter. Then we took a cab down to the Superdome, and we were in there. And this was the game that went into overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, it was back and forth like that whole game. It was like, I was like, if there's ever a game that we can please have a runaway and just win it, like please let it be this. But nope. We went into freaking overtime.
They had to stress you out.
And so my seats were really high up in the Superdome. I could literally kind of as close to where our air conditioning vent is. That's how close the air conditioning vents in the Super Bowl were to my seats. So that's how close I was. So I oftentimes, and there are pictures of me where I would have a flannel jacket, a scarf, and a hat on in the Superdome, even during like September. And so by the time it got to overtime, I think I had like made myself monstrously sick. I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I was like, please, for the love of anything that is holy, God, like, we've got to win this. Like, this is the closest we had ever been. We had gone to the NFC Championship back in the 2006-7, and then Chicago won. But anyway, like, this was in our dome. And so I had taken my ski cap, and I was just like, y'all tell me what happens. Like, I couldn't watch anymore. I literally was sick. My brother was just like, you got to watch the game. I was like, no, I can't. I literally cannot watch. And so we had gotten the ball and we had driven down, and I think we were like on the 30-yard line. It was 4th down. Garrett Hartley was going to come out to kick the game-winning field goal. My ski cap was over my eyes. I was just like, my brother was like, watch. And it was on our end of the field. So it was literally right in front of me. And I was like, I can't. Like, I feel like I'm going to jinx it if I watch. And I told my brother, I'm just going to let the crowd tell me what happens. And everyone was just, it was like silence. I mean, it was just like you could hear people breathing, and all of a sudden it was like this thunderous, like, I mean, just insane. This lady behind me pulled off my hat along probably with some strands of hair. I mean, people were crying, hugging, high-fiving. I mean, like, I get emotional just talking about it right now. But I mean, people were just like, we never thought this day would come. And so I just remember that drive home from downtown New Orleans, even to the West Bank of my mom's house. Like, people were out in the streets honking horns. Like, I think everybody had turned their porch lights on. I mean, it was like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is probably, like, of being here on our home turf, one of the best games. And then there was the Super Bowl.
Right.
So I got to go to Super Bowl 44, which the Saints went 2-1. And that was truly an insane day because I had actually purchased a plane ticket to Miami back in like November. And mind you, the playoffs are like one and done. I mean, like, all the Saints had to do was lose and they weren't going to the Super Bowl. And so we had beaten the Redskins like back in like November, and it was like a crazy game. And I just remember watching that game going, we're going to the Super Bowl this year. Like, I had convinced myself. And so I just randomly that day bought a plane ticket to Miami, not thinking I was going to go to the Super Bowl, but thinking I just want to be there. Like, I just want to go. And like, I had literally bought my return flight at like 4:00 or something. So I figured I would go and hang out, fly home, which would have been 3:00 Central, landed at the airport at like 4:30, and then just taken a cab to the French Quarter and met up with like Terry and Jim or something. I had it all planned out. But then that week, the news was reporting, and I didn't know this at the time, that the stadium in Miami is literally in the middle of nowhere. And it's in the middle of like a neighborhood. So it's not like our Superdome here in New Orleans that it's like in the middle of downtown. It's out in the middle of nowhere. And they were like, you know, if you don't have tickets, I mean, you know, you don't really need to come to the Super Bowl because you can't come and hang out because you'll just be like in our neighborhood. And so like Monday or Tuesday of Super Bowl week, I had decided to just stay and just hang out in New Orleans, be with the people, go to the French Quarter, hang out with Terry and Jim or whoever. And then Angela and Steven and their friend Sarah were all going to the Super Bowl. And Angela was like, you're not going now? And I was like, well, I was never going to the Super Bowl. I was just going to Miami just to go be with my people. And she literally called me later that night and was like, we got you a ticket to the Super Bowl.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I was like,
awesome.
I started crying. I was like, are you insane? Like, y'all can't do that. And she's like, well, Steven already did it.
Right.
She's like,
it's been done.
It's been done. You're not like sitting with us. You're like 3 or 4 rows behind us. I was like,
I don't
okay,
fucking
you could
care.
put me in
Yeah.
like the fucking bathroom.
Yeah.
I don't care.
That'd be funny.
So
Your seat's in the bathroom.
But what had happened was also that was craziness that was happening in New Orleans. There was a mayoral election that weekend. Like they had tried to change it because they were like, so many people are going to be gone.
Right.
Like the votes are going to be
it's
like
kind of messed up. Yeah.
Yeah. So like everyone was all in an uproar about the elections, and I work the elections.
Yes.
So I was just like, oh my God, now I've got to like rebuy. Like I had canceled my ticket, gotten a credit. And so anyway, so I rebought everything, and then I couldn't get a flight home. And it was crazy. So I bought a ticket from Fort Lauderdale to Jacksonville, Florida, to Birmingham, Alabama,
Wow.
to New Orleans. Like,
Yeah.
all I cared about by that point was getting home for the Super Bowl parade. Because like I was just like,
Right.
I just need to be home by Tuesday evening. But I made it home Monday. And so, yeah, that was my crazy time going to the Super Bowl. One of like the literal best 24 hours of my life. I couldn't believe I was there. I don't have a lot of pictures because I had a BlackBerry, and BlackBerries at the time had like, you could take like 15 pictures on its SIM card.
It was
and
like
it was
a quarter
full.
of a megapixel.
Yeah, it was like terrible.
But it took up like 3/4 of your memory. Of
Right,
your
right,
storage space.
yeah.
Oh, I
mean,
remember. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so
Those grainy
I
ass
didn't.
pictures.
And then they were very strict on like what you could carry in, and so I
Right.
didn't bring a camera. It was craziness. But anyway,
Oh, yeah.
so that was the Super Bowl, and then probably the most recent was again with Angela. I was very lucky to go to the LSU Peach Bowl
Right.
playoff game in 2019
Yes.
during the Joe Burrow, Justin
Oh, yeah.
Jefferson, Jamar Chase season. I think I remember asking you, I was like, Angela asked me to go to the game. And I mean, people always joke like, you ask, and I'm like, you would never make me ask you for permission.
It's not permission you're asking
I'm
me.
just
It is
like-
we are just two very
Communicative
people, and you're not, just to verify, just to clarify
Yes.
and confirm, you
don't
are
ask
not
permission.
you're not asking me for permission. You're just like more or less letting me know and just being like, are you okay with that? And I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't care. Yeah.
And so because I think something happened with Steven or Sarah, and neither of them could go.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And so she bought my ticket. She like bought everything, and so I literally flew into Atlanta. I think I actually flew into Atlanta. I had to like get a hotel because I had to get a ticket even a day before her
Yeah.
because all the flights were sold out. And so I went and stayed like probably at a Hilton or something,
Yeah.
and went to the parade, and I saw my friends Carol Ann and AC and their daughters, and actually a bunch of people. I went to the team's hotel, and I started just randomly taking pictures with players. It was
I
crazy.
remember
Like,
that.
and so, so we were there. That was the Peach Bowl in Atlanta, the other Mercedes-Benz
2D.
stadium, named after my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was the game that took us to the championship game that year that Joe Burrow and that team.
Was that the perfect season?
Yes, that
Yeah.
was the perfect season. And so I was at
Not to
that
be
game.
confused with the Miami Dolphins.
Correct. That was the NFL.
I know. I just
Don Shula.
Yeah, that's what I'm referencing.
Tim Marino. No. And so those were probably some of the funnest. I mean, I have been to a ton of obviously sporting events. I played soccer in high school. That was probably a joke. But I did, again, I was a university hostess, so I went to a lot of our football games,
Yeah.
but none of them were as crazy as that Potato Bowl. Because when we didn't do really well after that season.
It was called the Potato Bowl.
No, it was
Called the
actually
Diamond Bowl?
The Diamond Bowl,
Okay.
but we all kept calling it the potato because
Bowl,
it was
yeah.
actually it might actually be called the like Potato Bowl now.
Yeah.
And then, lots of games that were amazing.
Yeah.
Here at Tiger Stadium, my brother's given us tickets and my friends tickets, and I've gone with him to games, and probably so many games I've been when, like, Drew Brees passed Johnny Unitas for the passing record, and all of, like, a lot of big games. So I don't know if you have been to any super sports.
So for me, it's not so much. Well, going to sporting events and going to watch a, football or whatever match, any other sport, fill in the blank. It's less of the moments and more of just like the experience of going to a football game or a basketball game, which I have to say, basketball, really fun sport to watch live. Personally, I think it's
and I are the opposite on that.
I know.
It's so much stuff happening.
Right,
I can't handle it.
And for me, football is just like, okay, what's happening?
Oh, you don't want to go to a baseball game then? That's even worse.
Oh, I played baseball, and I don't want to go to a baseball game. I would get bored playing baseball.
Yeah.
Because if you're on a really crappy team, you're really bored. So, or you're doing a lot of stuff. I do remember, it's not really like a huge moment in my life, but I did go to an LSU basketball game when Shaquille O'Neal played.
Oh, cool.
I do remember that, which was really funny because like a couple years later, he's like Shaquille O'Neal. He's just like, him and Michael Jordan were like the 90s when it came to, famous athletes. And, funny that he's, Shaquille is still around, still making the general insurance commercials and
he's like the sweetest person now.
I love his episode of Hot Ones. So many memes and gifs came from that episode. But the sports moments that I remember were the ones that like I experienced like playing sports, because as much as I don't like watching sports, I played a lot of sports and I had a lot of fun playing like I had a lot of fun because it was more of, I would watch a baseball game with one of my friends and be like, can we just go outside and play baseball? Like I just, if anyone can believe that I would rather go outside than sit inside and watch something on TV, it's kind of funny now because I can't imagine being like, let's go play baseball. I can't imagine saying that now. Let's go play some soccer for a little bit. Let's go to the park.
Let's go.
But I do remember a few things, and it's not going to take that long. So my first year of playing baseball, it was coach's pitch, and I was in like a church league. So it wasn't like we were playing for like a championship or anything. It was just, just playing for fun, and it was coach's pitch. So it wasn't like high intensity competition, but I do remember the first time I scored a home run. I hit a home run, not scored. I hit a home run. And I mean, it was very much like a home run. I'm putting that in quotes because it was like an infield home run. It was because the other team couldn't catch the ball when they were throwing it to each other. So, because we're all like 7 and 8 years old, but it was a big moment. It was a big moment for me. And I remember like my team like waiting for me at home plate. I remember like running up and doing like a big stomp on the home plate, and that was a big deal. Then of course the first time I scored a goal in soccer, it was my second year playing because they always put me on. I know. Tell the editors hold. So it was technically my first year playing soccer because you had the fall season and the spring season.
Okay.
At least
is this in school or like a league?
This is the Baton Rouge Soccer Association.
Gotcha.
And so it was the spring season. I played the fall season, and I mostly got put on defense, which you're not on the other side of the field. You're mostly just helping out the goalie.
Correct.
And
that's what I did.
And I was really good at defense. So like I was a sweeper in high school when defense was my thing, but when we did the spring season, I think our coach was just trying to switch things up just to see like what we were good at. And so for the majority of that spring season, he kept putting me at forward. And I remember the first time I scored a goal, and it was in the spring season. And I remember it happening because I remember like scoring the goal and everyone cheering, and my coach like, being like, I told you could do it, and like being like really supportive. And I just remember like my face being so hot because I was like
so
probably
happy.
beat red, and I was like, it wasn't like an embarrassing thing. I was just like, this is what pride feels like. This is what like being like proud of yourself feels like. For this isn't like getting an A in class or anything. This is something that like I physically did, and it was just a big moment. And then of course, the only thing I have to hold on to when it comes to sports is I am a football state champion. I'm a football state champion, and that is a fact. When I was 5th and 6th grade, we won the state championship, and I played in the game, so it wasn't like I sat on the bench. I was good at football. I was good at defense. They didn't put me on offense a lot because I was so small. But when it came to once I learned that you don't have to be super big to take someone down, and that it's all about like gravity, and it's all about like hitting
positioning.
When there's a really tall player, I'm like, just get them in the legs and they fall down. It was just like once I learned that, and I learned that from another short kid whose name was also Jeff. Once he like kind of taught me that, I'm like, oh, tackling people is easy. And so like once I learned that, I was like, okay, I got it. So I got really good at defense, but I never quite got the hang of playing offense. I remember we were winning 21-0, so they put me on tight end, and then I remember, I'll never forget when we were at the huddle up and our quarterback was like, okay, left end around on two. I'm like, that's me. Just like, so it's like a reverse, not a reverse, but like you go around and get the ball handed off to you. And I made it a few yards before getting tackled. I just remember like one person missed me, and I'm like, I got it. I'm gonna, of course, like I got like leveled,
tackled.
But I gained a few yards, and I got to hear my name on the announcer. On the announcer was like, ball ran by number 85, Jeff Colvin, and so those are really my sports moments that I remember. There's one that's not like a glory moment, but one that like I always look back on and think it's like the funniest thing ever.
What's that?
So when I played soccer for my high school, our boys soccer, JV and varsity, our varsity team was okay. Our JV team was, we were pretty bad. Our girls soccer team, Yellow Jacket style, our girls soccer team was amazing. Like JV and varsity, like they were awesome. And so every now and then we would do like JV boys versus JV girls at like our practice, just like for fun. But the girls were they would annihilate us. Like they were so, and there was this one girl who, I guess I don't know what she was playing, but like they were intense. And I just remember one time, like I'm sitting there and like someone passed me the ball, and then like I remember like about to kick it to someone else, and this girl comes up and she just like hits me like that, like with her arm against my arm. I'm like 5'2", you know what I mean? Like I'm a little fella, so I went flying.
She like shoulder checked you,
and she was just like, "I'm so sorry." And I'm laughing because I was like, "That probably looked really funny." I was just like, because you know how I am, like I don't really get embarrassed. So like with stuff like that. And everyone was like, yeah, no, that was hilarious. Like, that was really funny. And so, like, her name was Kristen. We were in the same class. And every now and then throughout the rest, because that happened in 9th grade, and throughout the rest of high school, every now and then she was like, remember when I beat you up? She would just kind of joke about that. And I was like, no, I remember the time I went flying out of bounds. And it was probably the funniest thing ever. I wish someone, like, had it.
On video.
I wish iPhones existed back then. But, yeah, so those are my stories. Like I said, I don't really remember, unless we're talking about like movies, I don't really remember like sports moments. Of course, I remember the Saints winning the Super Bowl. I had just moved back from Florida when that happened, and it snowed that year, that winter. And it was when you said you were at the championship game. I know that was in New Orleans.
Yes.
When you went to, so like it was real. That was a very cold winter. So
yeah, it was cold that day. Yeah.
And it probably had just snowed probably like 2 weeks before. But yeah, that's it for me. Like I said, I don't really remember a lot of stuff, so we can get into the plot summary.
Let's do it.
All right. I don't have my glasses on. Let's see how this goes.
Okay.
All right. First quarter plot summary. Russ Holiday is star quarterback for Oregon and is playing against Georgia in the Rose Bowl. Do I have that right so far?
Yes.
Okay. I just realized, I'm like, is that correct? All right. He was one final play away from winning the game. He ends up having to run the ball himself while maneuvering around opposing players. He heads towards the end zone. He begins to showboat a little bit and ends up dropping the ball pretty much at the 1 yard line, pretty much. Believing he just scored the winning touchdown, he doesn't notice a Georgia player picking up the ball and then scoring a 99-yard touchdown. Believing he just ruined his career, he makes things worse by accidentally assaulting kind of a Make-A-Wish child with terminal cancer that was on the sidelines. So now his career is officially over.
Yeah.
It's now 8 years later, and Russ is still living in the past, trying to justify his actions from that day. He has managed to stay afloat financially through crypto and NFTs. Anytime someone brings up NFTs, I crack up because I'm just like, I remember when that was such a thing, but is barely hanging on. He's essentially living in his dad's garage and kind of helping his dad out with his prosthetics. And so Russ is currently in talks of joining the XFL, which my manager Kevin didn't know still existed until like a couple days ago. He was like, XFL still exists? I'm like, even I know that, Kevin. Yes. And is confident that his past actions are a thing of the past and people don't care anymore. That all changes when the cancer patient he accidentally assaulted has died, reminding the world the events of that day. Russ is dropped by both the XFL and his manager. Russ is currently living in his dad's garage and is frequently encouraged by his dad to stop living in the past and to try something new. He also reminds Russ that he can always work with him as a prosthetics artist. Russ refuses, but his dad insists he bring some of his prosthetics to Michael Bay. While on his way to the studio, Russ learns that the South Georgia Catfish are holding open tryouts for a new quarterback. When he arrives at the studio, he sees a poster for the movie Mrs. Doubtfire. So if you've never seen Mrs. Doubtfire, I mean, what are you doing? But like Robin Williams wants to spend more time with his kids, and so his brother was a prosthetics and makeup artist, and so he puts on prosthetics, poses as an old lady to be the housekeeper so he can spend more time with his kids. Also, his wife was paying him, which was kind of weird, but yeah. That's when Russ has an idea to disguise himself and become South Georgia's new quarterback, giving himself a second chance at joining the NFL. Russ leaves the movie studio with his dad's prosthetics and drives straight to South Georgia. One of my favorite moments of the episode, I didn't write this one down, but when his dad calls him and is like, where are you with the prosthetics? He's like, Dad, I'm sorry, I have to go do something, and he quotes Armageddon. Yeah. I forgot what the quote was.
I forgot. Oh, it was the one where they're like I'm about to go and do something. I hope you're really proud.
Yes.
And he's like,
that's from Armageddon. I worked on Armageddon.
I worked on Armageddon. Yeah, it was the part when he's like going to see his kid on the porch or whatever.
Russ arrives at South Georgia and begins to apply the prosthetics. Danny, the team's mascot, my favorite, recognizes Russ, and when Russ tells him his plan, Danny thinks it's crazy enough to work and helps Russ with his makeup and wig. Danny reminds Russ that he owes him. Russ goes to register for tryouts and meets Ricky, one of the assistant coaches and only female coach. At no point did Russ think of a fake name, a voice, anything for his new identity, just showing that Russ doesn't really think things through. He comes up with the name Chad Powers and begins talking in a generic, pretty much stereotypical, like backwoods Southern accent, like something you would hear in a cartoon.
Yeah,
pretty much. Love the voice though; it cracks me up. After messing up a few times, Russ is initially excited to be on a football field again, but begins having performance issues after having flashbacks of the Rose Bowl incident. After messing up a few times and having issues with his prosthetics, Russ realizes this was a terrible idea and begins to leave. Danny runs after him, reminding him that he was once one of the best college quarterbacks in the country and that Chad Powers is his chance to reinvent himself. Russ returns to the field and slowly gets his confidence back. It's clear that Russ has a much higher skill set than any other applicant. Duh. Head coach Hudson approaches Russ/Chad and asks him to meet him in his office in 30 minutes. Russ assumes this means he will be asked to join the team. Suddenly, the reality of always being in prosthetics and keeping up the Chad Powers persona sets in, and Russ begins having doubts, but Danny promises Russ that he'll help him. Russ/Chad enters Coach Hudson's office. He offers him a spot on the team and then asks him why Chad plays football. He says he doesn't know who he is without football. Hudson appreciates that answer. Russ is about to leave the office, but it seems his moral compass is getting the best of him and looks like he's about to confess to Hudson that he is a fraud. Instead, Russ confesses to Hudson that he isn't enrolled in the school. Hudson says that's not an issue and he can register on Monday. He just needs his birth certificate and a proper ID and his transcripts, another thing he didn't think through. Russ leaves the office now realizing he has a whole new set of problems. End of episode. So much more happens, obviously. With these newer shows, I don't want to, tell you everything that happens. So funny. There's so many little jokes here and there. Like the one of the coaches keeps calling him radio, which was so a little offensive, but very funny. I keep calling him radio, And so many other jokes. The whole thing with like the deer in Chernobyl, and like when Chernobyl was okay, like the deer started showing up, and it's such a funny show. And we never actually, I think we had like two episodes left. So we're probably gonna finish that at some point. We just kind of do what we always do and get attached to another show, and we obviously do that. We do this for our podcast. So yeah, we tend to do that, but yeah, we'll finish it at some point. Really funny. With most sports TV shows, you don't really have to be a fan of sports to enjoy it. You don't have to really be a fan of, it's very funny. Great cast. Like the cast.
Oh, they're so cute. I love the mascot guy, Danny.
Danny's my favorite, yeah.
Steve Zahn is great, as usual.
After seeing Anaconda, the new Anaconda, he's the best. Buffalo Sober. Yeah. So, yeah, I can't recommend the show enough. It's on Hulu and Disney+. I think it's on Disney+. If it's on Hulu, then I think it's on Disney+.
Yeah.
If you have Hulu and Disney+ combo, I think. So, if you have Hulu, it's definitely on Hulu. So I think that wraps up this episode. Once again, I didn't think we were going to have enough to talk about, and we're going on an hour. So
all right.
We met our quota. All right, that wraps up this episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can follow us on Instagram at WeJudgePilotPod. We're also on Facebook and Threads. You can leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments. What you got?
The football.
And Why would you have the football?
I don't know. And then I have the duck and the dog for Oregon and Georgia.
Nice.
Rose, the school, the wheelchair for the Make-A-Wish little dude, the nose, because the nose prosthetic is just the best. The car, the money, because he's like always tooling around in his car.
He drives a Cybertruck.
Yeah, that too. And then I have the cat and the fish to represent the mascot.
Nice.
And then finally the ID card, because that's like how it ends. He's like, oh God, I need an ID card. All right. Well, we are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.